Good afternoon. Welcome to the Meltdown. You're listening to Brett Bogus, and we're going to talk about precious metals and rare coins. It's what I do, it's what I believe in, but I want to talk about a lot of different topics today. I want to talk about where I see the economy and why it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. Nothing's changed in the fundamentals now. When I say that, I want you to understand that I look across the marketing world and realize that there are companies that are out there that are going to tout the different types of products that they tout on any given day. Now, specifically, today the XAU is currently down 3.17. That would literally mean that the XAU has lost over 10% of its value during this calendar year. Looking into the future, what do I see? I see the same thing that major economists see, that there's nothing that's changing in the economy except the value of money. Now, we see money as something that grows and expands over time, but not everybody's getting ahead. You know, today I see the dollar recovering really strong against foreign currencies. And every currency with the exception of the Canadian dollar has taken, quote, a hit. The only other thing that's up today is the Dow, but all other indexes are losing value. That's part of the reason why you see the price of gasoline going down. We'll probably have a test somewhere in the Houston, Texas area, maybe even in the River Valley up in Ohio. We might see a test at $2.50 a gallon. But reality is that quantitative easing creates inflation. No, not in the near term it doesn't, but down the road. Give it that 2014, 2015 spin that I've been talking about most of the calendar year, and we're going to deal with inflation at a level that we've never dealt with it before. And I don't care what the Federal Reserve Chairman wants to do. I don't care what central banks around the world want to do. It'll be that point in time that there won't be gold and silver. You won't be able to get your hands on it. And I know so many people that have understood what really happens when these markets change. That's my concern. And so today, you've got your different areas of investment and you're worried about the future in a way. You think more about your kids and what they might have to come up with and what they might have to do. But let's face it, money grows faster today. You get a net worth number that's much larger than what it used to be. And, you know, I remember when $1 million was a lot of money. That's little over 30 years ago. Now, $1 million? My gosh, there are traders that are making that kind of money. And ultimately, talk about CEOs or those people who are the executives in major companies. I can tell you that the price of gold was down over 1% today. It's currently down a little over 0.75%. It's come back some from its bottom. And I can tell you that silver is slightly under $22 an ounce. And in the big picture, it doesn't really matter because you have to pay the same premium, a little bit more, to own the metals today than what you had to pay when the price of the metal was higher, because there seemed to be a lot of it. Now, there's not as much of it. And what I worry about, what I talk about, is that there's legislation floating around in Washington to eliminate paper currency. Now, that's in about 4 years or so. That's what the anticipation is. And to cut back the dollar bill as we know it ultimately would create a major cash cow to the government. Of course, you can't get everybody to accept Susan B. Anthony dollars. Those were sitting around until toll roads became more popular, and it gave the government a means of flooding more dollars out into the marketplace. It's part of why there was a discussion about creating a big platinum coin at $1 trillion or $1 billion or all kinds of weird numbers. But ultimately, it's the overvalue of currency. That's the problem. And the fact that no country needs the currency That's a bigger problem. Now, I talk about and I look at companies like AIG. We bailed out AIG, the taxpayers basically did. AIG is beginning to start paying dividends. Really, it's pretty amazing. And when you listen to things like the comments that Warren Buffett has made, gold gets dug out of the ground in Africa or someplace. Then we melt it down, dig another hole, bury it again, and pay people to stand around guarding it. It has no utility. Anyone watching from Mars would be scratching their head. That's exactly what Warren Buffett said. And so for me, I can tell you that quantitative easing weakens the dollar. And when countries don't need their physical, tangible gold or silver and they dump it, it makes their currencies weaker. That's part of what's been going on in China, which has been the second largest consumer of gold, is starting to back off a little bit. They don't need quite as much because they've gotten rid of dollars. They've leveraged themselves so high in gold that now they have extra value in their coffers because they don't need the gold. That's the same thing that the Soviet Union decided. Reports were that Iraq acquired gold. And we know that Iran doesn't want dollars. They won't deal in them. So people are constantly moving and shaking, trying to figure out where to put money and where not to put it. I worry about the fact that we've gotten to this place where we don't need to rely on anything but full faith and credit, period. And it doesn't matter whether you've got credit card debt or car loans. You know, I look at what is really happening out there, and I read the returns about Ford having one of its best periods of growth. Lincoln revealed that their sales were up 30% in October because they redesigned one of their vehicles. But the transactions in Lincoln are still trailing Mercedes-Benz and BMW by a 3-to-1 margin. What do all these numbers mean? It means that people who are in the know, the big fund managers, are going to manipulate the economy. They're going to manipulate trades. They're going to try and do things to make themselves look better than worse. And all along, you're trying to figure out, your broker is trying to figure out where to put money for the best return, where you're going to lose the least, where you're going to accomplish the most. I know it sounds like rhetoric, and obviously it is, but when I look at companies like Ford's unit sales are up 14%, 190. This is a report from Ford, 191,985 units to match the estimates of their analysts. And the automaker reports passenger car sales rose 19%, utilities increased 9%, and trucks were up 14%. That's Ford announcing their numbers. Who's doing the audit of Ford? How much of the paper, how much of that was really being written? Do you understand that to go show a whole lot of units being sold, 191,000 units, how much of it was financed? And was it financed with Ford? Because let's face it, whether it's Ford, Ally, that's the old GMAC, they'll write paper. They quote, give you a loan value based on what you're paying. And of course, if you don't know what you're doing and you pay full sticker for a vehicle, then you know you overpaid for it, because you can go join a credit union. Go put $50 in a credit union and you'll pay between $200 and $500 over the invoice. Now, certain people can buy vehicles behind the invoice. It's called the holdback, 2%. That's what the dealer gets at the end of the year. Now, I've been around the car business. I know a lot of people who've been in and out of the car business. And ultimately, most dealers who own their dealerships don't make money selling the units. They don't care about it. So for all the salespeople that are out there that could literally be taking orders and making whatever income they make, the dealer himself, the guy who owns the shop, doesn't care about the sale profit. He's making his money in the service bay, parts, on the back side of the deal. I know that for a fact. I've heard too many conversations between owners and general sales managers and sales managers. Same thing is true in our industry. So many coin dealers popped up, just like the gold buyers, the guys that were buying all the broken gold. In Humble, Texas, I was the original broken gold guy. Got in on the coattails of Cash for Gold when they were doing all their advertising, which, by the way, you don't see those ads anymore because they made all their money. They were down in Pompano Beach, Florida. Now they sold all the leads and they shut down the operations. They made tons of money. And here in my part of the city of Houston, there used to be 15 or 20 different dealers. And I can tell you 2 or 3 of them that have shut down recently within a mile or 2 of where my offices are. And that's because the plethora of dealers that showed up on the market who didn't know much of anything, were just trying to cash in on moving gold and buying it cheap and selling it and making a profit and banking the money and running. Literally, they're gone. And most of them now consult if they have the opportunity to do a deal on the side. And folks, there's lots of these people out there. And when people run amok and they steal, they're able to go find some of the ex-dealers and they're able to deal with them. Unfortunately for them, law enforcement can track everything. And when law enforcement gets involved, that's when the house of cards starts to fall. Now, there's lots of different ways to do this. And so what I talk about is if all you've got is something that is gold-based in its cheapest form, whether it's a broken piece of jewelry or a 10th ounce gold American Eagle or a Krugerrand or a 1 ounce gold coin, if you don't need the money, don't sell it today. Over the next 36 to 72 months, my prediction on the price of gold will break the $2,000 an ounce mark. We'll go somewhere close to $3,000 an ounce. It's not get rich quick. It's not gloom and doom. It's the reality of this economy. And the fact that you can go anywhere in the world, and if you can interpret the language, you'll find out quantitative easing is alive and that people are utilizing it. And it doesn't matter whether you go south of the border to Mexico, or you talk to the Australians, or anywhere else in the world, Brazil, they all do it. They're all printing currency. And traders are scared. That's why we're scared. Now, 1% of this country controls 20% of the wealth. And that 20% they're the ones that are buying the expensive coins. They're the ones that are into the car market. They're into jewelry. They're buying big ticket items and they're putting them away. Not because they're worried about the rainy day. They know it's coming. They want to park the money today before it's not available out there. Go to a car auction or watch it on TV and you'll see bidders. You'll see a bunch of them out there. They start raising the paddles looking for a deal. As soon as the prices rise, you start seeing a limited number of the paddles going up. It's the same thing everywhere around the world all the time. People want a deal. And if you can't get a deal, you just don't want to spend the money. That's the way it really works. So for me, when I look at the globe and I look more over here at the United States, and I understand that what one price commands in Florida will be a different price up in the Northwest when you talk about what's going on up in, say, Seattle. It's different. The economies are different. The economies are different across the state line. And I can tell you for sure that when Louisiana looked at how to reclimate its economy, they talk about doing things a little different. You take a little more risk. It's kind of like trying to get to oil independence. There are a lot of people that want to limit their footprint, how much their trash is or how much fuel they use. I love the quote, the idea of electric vehicles. The question is, how fast do the charging stations come up? Or how long do you sit in traffic so that you don't have to worry about it? Because let's face it, a hybrid works better from an oil usage or a gasoline usage standpoint in traffic because you're working off of the electricity. I look at the coin community and precious metals, as a way of hedging some of the things that you may or may not do right or wrong. That's why you buy gold, and you buy it from $1,150 on the bottom up to a couple of thousand, because things are going to get worse down the road. When guys like Ben Bernanke, Tim Geithner, Steve Forbes, any of these people, part of the problem with Warren Buffett is he's got so much money, if he lost 98% of it, it still wouldn't change his lifestyle. That's the blessing that he's had. Owning things today that other people are going to want down the road in 5 years or 10 years or 30 or 40 or 50 years gives you the ability to know that this market is strong. Now, I look at history realizing that some things change. But what I can tell you for sure is that Carson City minted silver dollars. I remember back in the 70s, because I've got the paperwork, I see what the government sent out. And when they were trying to sell common silver dollars at $35 a piece for the 1882 or 83 or 84 Carson City silver dollars, there were people that got to buy them at $30. Today, in the box with the paper, the certificate of authenticity, and the coin itself in a big plastic tamper-resistant holder, those are coins that you may spend $250 to $400 for. That's right, $250 to $400, depending on who you talk to. We don't work on that kind of a spread. If you want to own original minted Carson City Morgan silver dollars, 1882 or 1883 or 1884, and you want them in the GSA box, I'll sell them for probably $230, $235. Buy 100 or 1,000, maybe we can work a little bit better price, but I'm working tight to the spread. I've got to pay to get them shipped in here. And so understand that there are companies that promote Carson City because, quote, the story was great. And the fact that almost 95% of the coins were melted makes them even more valuable. The government, the US government, produced coins for a long time. There's billions of them. And rarer coins, I bought today a 2008 Silver American Eagle with the reverse of 2007. Now, what makes it different is the U. The U, if it has a foot on it, is the regular 2008. If it's just a U and there's no foot leg coming back down, it's the 07. The difference is a 2008 West Point silver dollar that's not the 07 reverse is just a common coin. The reverse of 2007 makes the coin trade for somewhere between $450 and $500, up to as high as over $1,000, depending on who graded it and what the quality is. So I talked to this gentleman today, and I explained to him that he wanted $350 for it. The coin's been coming down a little bit in value, but it still had the original mint packaging. And I told him that the best thing he could do is try to go get the coin graded. Go on to NGC or PCGS's website, join the club, send the coin in. If he needed the money, go ahead and sell it to me. I'd pay him $300. Now, dealers bid about 20% behind the gray sheet. That's the bid sheet. And so at $450 minus 90 is $360. He was asking for a fair number, but the coin keeps coming down. That means I've got to send it off to get it graded. And yes, maybe the coin will grade 70, maybe it won't. And if it doesn't, then I've wasted the time and the money and the postage and all the energy that goes in to getting a coin like that certified. It's not the worst thing in the world. But for me, I want to get it certified. I have to have 100 coins or more to make it worth my time and my effort. And ultimately, what are they going to grade the coin? Well, let's face it, the coins are encapsulated at the US Mint. They should be perfect. They should all be 70s. Ultimately, there's plenty of them out there. The difference is, if the coin grades Mint State 69, it's almost like it's worth nothing more, and I shouldn't have spent the money or the time, and I tied it up for over a month to get it there. That's a bad investment. So it's really important that when you get something recommended to you and you go look online, whether the guy gave you a fair price on the phone or over the internet or whether he was talking on TV, it may not be the right value. That's what I'm talking about. And so it's from that perspective that talking to a dealer about individual coins or individual pricing, trying to price shop somebody is absolutely weird. It's crazy. Yes, you want a good deal. I understand that. But the value of the information is worth a lot. It so happened that this gentleman had some bills he wanted to pay, and he wasn't offended at all when I exposed all the information. He had everything at his fingers. He was able to make a clear, concise, and logical choice based on information. That's what this is about. It's about understanding that of the 9,000 different U.S. coins, and they come in 20 different conditions, you're talking about a market that's almost 180,000 coins across and then billions of coins deep. There's lots of coins out there. And if you don't put the right information on the form when you submit the coins, you make mistakes and people go crazy. So understand, I don't have a crystal ball. Well, actually, I do. I want to thank my good friend Doug for making sure at my birthday I had a crystal ball. But I can't tell you exactly what the markets are going to do on any given day. I just don't have the ability to do it. Anyone who tells you they can either has so much money that they don't care, or they're manipulating a market, or they're just taking a shot in the dark. And regardless of what their reasoning is, you're still, quote, playing the shot in the dark. So from that perspective, I look at the market and I tell you, the Dow's had a good day, and I can tell you the dollar's had a good day. I can tell you the price of crude oil has dropped again by almost $2 a barrel today. We're back in the 94.50 range for West Texas Intermediate. And what does that mean in the big picture? It means that the oil companies will offer their discounts or they'll upcharge. They're going to do the things that are going to benefit, quote, them. Now, we're still at over 60.1 ounces of silver to an ounce of gold. The discount of gold to platinum is still 9%, so that's holding firm. So the adjustment in markets is relatively the same. You don't see much aberration. And that's why this is the time to acquire precious metals. Now, you can reach out to the store. That's 281-548-2646. 281-548-2646. Hit option 0, and that'll get you to a live voice, and we'll be more than happy to address your questions, your comments, your concerns. I'll tell you if you're getting a good deal. I talked, I think, Tuesday about the client that was in here, gave me a phone call, and he wanted to buy 1 ounce gold American Eagles, and the dealer he was working with is charging him $79 over the spot price. Well, my price that I quoted was, I rounded it off to 14 and a quarter. He was paying 14.23. I told him to keep doing business with this other guy. I said, you know, for $1 or $2, you should be doing business with this guy. I don't want to snake somebody for 1,000th of a percentage point. And he said to me that he'd been using cash and he didn't want to do that anymore. He wanted to spend 20 grand. And that's why he was calling and looking to change jockeys, so to speak. Well, folks, I didn't want that jockey on my back. Ultimately, that's called structuring a transaction. Don't want to be a part of it. So there's a methodology to who I want to do business and why. Ultimately, if you send a wire transfer, then your funds are wired out the door. If you give me a check or you bring in cash, there's different requirements depending on the amount of cash. Or if you give me a check, how long it takes for the check to clear. If it's local, it may be a day or two. If it's out of the area, could take 11 days. And I don't agree with the fact that the banks want to float on your money, but that's what they do. Chase Bank is one of the ones that I've got the biggest problem with. I did a $60,000 transaction, 12/31 of 2011. Client was local, gave me a check for 60 grand. I drove over to my banker who signed a statement, and I took the check to the Chase Bank just a couple miles away. and said, would you please convert this to a cashier's check? And they refused to do it. It would take several touches with several people up the line to get, quote, my own funds released from a client who had plenty of money in the bank. And folks, that's what this is about. It's all about the float. Because if you're an online bank, if you're somebody who's tied into the Fed, then the transactions will occur rather quickly, typically overnight. Not all of them do, but most of them do. So if you're going to do that, overnight your check, it's easier to wire the money, put it in my account so I can wire it off and I can have the metal overnighted. Now, if it's a weekend, it's going to take an extra couple of days. That's just the way the system works. But if you wire me money and I wire it off, my metal is moving the next or maybe the same day if it happens early enough. Because frankly, in a market that's as volatile as this one, I don't want to play that game anymore. There was a time when I did, but it isn't now. And ultimately, I can tell you that in August of 2008, when the herd turned, when the housing crisis was at its lowest point and it was about to go all the way down, people were buying gold and silver and people paid so little for it that at one time they were up over 300%. Now, they're not up as much as they were, but you know what? They're not down. The Dow at almost at almost 15,700. I think we're at 15,500 something. Actually, we made it to 15,601. That's where we're trading right now. So we're back near the top. I can't tell you when it's going to let go. But what I can tell you is that for some of the smallest premiums in the rare coin market, you can own old Morgan silver dollars or $20 gold pieces. You can own them uncirculated or lightly circulated. You can have them third-party graded by PCGS or NGC. Those are the two companies I like the most because they trade on the computer network and ultimately you can maintain liquidity. If you've got millions of dollars to work with, then we can start talking about the set building strategy. Or we can talk about owning the key date coins that other people are going to want because you're going to make a lot more money that way too. It's about a third, and a third. It's about looking across the market and understanding that there are different types of coins that different people want to own for different reasons. And ultimately, a dealer like myself who is going to recommend to the masses that they get involved in a specific type of rare coin, you're going to even be further ahead because someone like myself who watches a company recommend $2.50 Indians or $10 Indians or $20 Liberties can sit here and tell you that it's the key date coins that other people are going to want. That's what you should buy, and you should buy it before they do because somewhere down the road they're going to increase in value. I like being right more than I'm wrong. Unfortunately, I don't do a great job of it all the time, and certainly not when it comes to wives. But that having been said, I like what I do. And I love looking at coins, and I love touching them. I love deciding whether or not they should be third-party authenticated and graded. You can bring your material up to the store, or you can email me anytime. It's Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. That's B-R-E-T-T at thegoldexchange.net. T-H-E, the Gold, G-O-L-D, Exchange, E-X-C-H-A-N-G-E.net. Email me, call me, toll free, 877-705-2646. That's 877-705-2646. Now, Saturdays, typically, I used to be open, but now it's coming up into the Christmas season, and it's really getting dark early in the evening. Don't like to be here after 5 o'clock right now. On Saturdays, if you call me Monday through Friday, make an appointment. We'll start putting in some Saturday time here over the next couple of weeks up to Christmas. Won't be open on Christmas Eve. That's time with the family and my son. But ultimately, it's a great time to be getting involved. And I'm not going to tell you that we found the bottom in the metals. I'm going to tell you that what I believe in the near term is that the volatility is very limited. If gold were to go below $1,200, it can't maintain it long because it costs more than that to make it. And as far as silver goes, much under 19 or 20 and we're at the cost of production. And frankly, nobody wants to operate a mine and take the risks and have all the liability to make nothing. And that's the other side of this. There are too many people that are out there trying to figure out how to outsmart the market. Eventually, the market catches you. So a third, and a third is about owning the types of coins you want to own. When you identify what you like, then we can start to put together the portfolio in such a fashion that things start to make more sense. And folks, when you get right down to it, gold, silver, and platinum, that's just the top third. It's the final third, the rare third, where I've got to tell somebody that they're going to pay retail for a 1861 San Francisco Paquet, an AU-58, and at the time I sold an AU-58 for $85,000, but 2 years later, one auctioned for $140,000 plus. That means the end user probably was paying somewhere between $175,000 and $200,000 for the coin. The $65,000 or $80,000 that had to be paid seemed like a stretch at the time. Today, it's a bargain. And so that's my point, is that having been here and done this for 25 years, I see the different types of coins that get gobbled up, who likes what, why they like it, where it's going to go, why would it go there, why would someone pay $200,000 for 1 ounce of gold? Because, frankly, when you get right down to it, more people will be interested in it down the road. I love Morgan silver dollars. You can build a 96-piece set and have about a third to 40% of the coins in the cheapest third, about 30 or 40% in the second third, and about 20 to 25% of the coins in the final third, the rare third, the ones where the coins trade for a lot of money. And it may not be comfortable to spend $4,000 on the worst graded 1893 San Francisco, but you know what? If you can't afford the Mint State 63 at $250,000, all of a sudden it starts to make a little more sense. That's what this is about. Anyway, I don't ever want to get off air without thanking Texas Children's Hospital and talking about the Downs Clinic and the Ronald McDonald House. Now, the Downs Clinic is very special to me. My son Jason has very mild Downs. And ultimately, we had a donation link built. You can type in your name, your address, city, state, zip, the amount of money you want to donate. That's all kept anonymous for me. So it's the donation that I'm more interested in. And Dr. Ostermeyer's facility has moved off of the Texas Children's Hospital campus, off of Fannin. And ultimately, she's got a great staff and the people are just love the kids. And that's really a great thing to be around. Now, the Ronald McDonald House at Texas Children's literally is 20 rooms. I haven't been at the hospital now in a couple of years, but ultimately 20 rooms housing 40 to 100 people probably, because you got extra family members that come in and out during the evening. But it's so that you can be on the facility and still visit your children in the middle of the night. If you can provide a hot meal or a donation, please call 832-824-8600. That's 832-824-8600. You can visit themeltdown.com, click on either of the donation links, or ask the people to give you a hand. I appreciate the doctors, the nurses, the staff, and of course the volunteers at Texas Children's and throughout the medical center. Throughout the world, as a matter of fact, because I love children. Now, folks, we'll be off until Monday. Michael will be back here. He'll get the Thursday show and he'll get this show on so that you can stay current with us and understand there are over 500 shows, well over 350 hours of audio. We delete the commercials. We talk specifically about what's important, what I see the trend to be. And folks, if there's something that I haven't addressed and you want to, please go to Ustream. Register with Ustream and you can chat with me live right on air, and I'll put your questions out there so we can discuss them. Appreciate you listening. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, and God bless you. Thanks for listening. We'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.